I'm Dean Secord. I started my ABQ RIDE career as a Sun van driver and now working in the training department to prepare new drivers and mechanics for the road and the shop. I also have worked as a driver on the ABQ RIDE Connect program, and it's really a great program, another one of our programs that we started recently, and it's doing very well, and I'm very proud to be a member of that. Okay, today we have with us, to my right, Madeline Scrack, the Public Information Officer for ABQ RIDE and the first ambassador excuse me, to join the program, Transit Advocate and Transit Advisory Board Chair, to my left, Althea Atherton. On April 1st, ABQ RIDE launched the ABQ RIDE Ambassador Program, which is the City of Albuquerque Transit Department's second volunteer opportunity to enhance the transit experience for riders, staff, and the general public. Ambassadors are friendly guides to smoother rides who help riders navigate the transit system, download apps needed for successful ride, and manage detours or route changes, all while promoting safety, including the rules for ride for passengers and reporting any issues to transit security officers. They are trained to help you better take advantage of all the resources transit has to offer, along with providing helpful resources or supportive information for other city resources available to your needs. At this time, I'd like to move to Althea, and I have a few questions to ask you, and you get us some information about this super program. Okay, Althea, tell us more about yourself and why you became the first ambassador.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Althea Atherton. I am chair of the Transit Advisory Board. I also am a bus rider, and that's my primary way to get around town. And I love improving the bus and helping what I can do as a member of the public to make the bus better. I kind of came up into this interest through the Transit Riders Union, Albuquerque Transit Riders Union, ABQ TRUE. And through that, I learned so much more about the bus, and I met people who were doing these kinds of ambassador programs around the country, and it seemed like something that we could use here. So myself and one of my mentors, Christopher Ramirez, decided to bring this program to transit, and I was so happy that they were interested, and now we're here.
Super, super great. Sounds fantastic. Let me ask you this. If you had to distill what this program is doing at its core, how would you best describe it?
I would say that we are kind of like a little bit customer service. We're also a little bit almost like a tourism, right? Like we help people who are not used to riding our system feel comfortable on our system. And mostly we're just kind of a friendly face. And I noticed, you know, when I was taking the bus over here this morning that, you know, someone had asked another passenger. I wasn't in my uniform, so I was kind of off duty. And someone had asked another passenger, hey, how do I get here? A total stranger. And the other stranger helped them, and I was like, oh, you'd be a good ambassador.
I'm going to recruit you.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, it's just a very natural thing for a lot of people, and so making this an official program where you get some training and get to kind of be in the branded attire and are recognized for the good citizen kind of stuff you might be doing already in your life. It's really wonderful.
Well, I bet that's exciting too to see, like when you're wearing this shirt, you know, you're formally an ambassador, but then maybe people watch that and maybe repeat it in their own lives and try to also serve as ambassadors in their own way.
Absolutely. And so if you're showing people like the Transit app or the CSA app or, you know, any of the kind of tools that we have, telling them about Connect, right, then that's information that they can take to their friends and loved ones too, right? So not only are you helping that passenger, you're helping all the people that passenger helps.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I love the fact that you said that not only are we helping the citizens, but it's also for tourists as well. You're also a tourism ambassador.
Yeah,
so.
actually one of my first days when I was out, I decided to do the 50 bus, which goes to the Sunport, and I was on the platform, and someone asked me like all these very basic questions about how our bus system works, and my favorite one is that he asked, how much does it cost? And I got to say, we have 0 fares here. You don't have to pay a thing, you just get on board, it's frictionless, you go. Yeah, it's
absolutely
beautiful.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, I have another question for you here.
Yeah, of course.
Who are these volunteers, these ambassadors for? Staff to leadership, public to staff?
It's kind of everybody, because we're helping the bus drivers, taking the pressure off of them. Because if you're driving the bus, your primary responsibility is getting us point A to point B, but you kind of also get all these questions from members of the public. How do I get to this clinic at X Street and X Street? And if you're driving the bus, you may know off the top of your head, but you may not. And it's not like you can pull out Google Maps, right? And so you kind of have to be like, I'm sorry, but we can take that question. And so now I've actually, when I'm like kind of towards the back of the bus, I've seen the drivers like point to me in the back and say, hey, ask them in the green shirt. And then,
cool.
yeah, and then it's great, because then the driver just focuses on getting us point A to point B.
Right.
And I can help them, because I can take out Google Maps, or Transit app is even better. I can take out Transit app and say, okay, it looks like this is here, so you're going to want to take this bus to here and then change to this bus, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of great, because the bus drivers are now realizing like we're assets for them, because we take that kind of like it's part of their job, but their most important job is getting us safely there. And so if we can take that anything else off their plate, I'm really interested in that.
It's also like that extra pair of eyes in the system. Like your boots on the ground, you're on the bus. I love that the bus drivers are now pointing to you and such. That's great. And another piece of the ambassador role is not only can Althea teach people like, hey, this is how you use the transit app, but some people don't even know how to download apps. So Althea might be saying, hey, do you have a smartphone? If so, like, we have several apps to use ABQ RIDE services to the best of their ability. Like, here's how you do it. And it really can be educational on so many levels.
I've taught people how to use the App Store on their phone, so they can download transit.
Yeah.
And that's not something that we always think about. You know, there are many people out there who do not know how to use apps.
Or they just got their phone, they don't, they just know how to make calls and texts, and they don't know anything else. So it's kind of a cool way to get to help, empower them in other ways in their lives that, like, touch on this, but, can help them in so many other ways.
That's 100% right. I encountered that as a driver just a couple weeks ago. I had to help another guy who was sitting next to a lady that was there for the pickup, and she was telling him about the program, and he said, I don't know how to get it. And then I, showed him how to get it and how to use it.
So you're an ambassador.
Yeah, exactly. We got to get you one of these shirts.
We're all ambassadors.
Cool. And then one more thing I'll speak to in terms of the ambassador role. So this program is called the ABQ RIDE Ambassador Program, and we really mean ambassador at every sense of the word. Like, you're an ambassador to the public as an intermediary to get what they want and their feedback and ideas. To staff, you're an intermediary between our leadership and our staff themselves, like who are driving buses and different roles at ABQ RIDE and all parts of the system. And then they're also ambassadors to be in a monthly ambassador meeting with our other volunteers to say, like, hey, here's what's working, here's what's not. Like, this is a new program, so we're really working towards continuous improvement on it.
Absolutely.
And then all of that information can also be passed up to leadership. So really they're an ambassador at like every single layer and level of the transit system.
Absolutely. You're our link to feedback so that we can make improvements and changes to make the system be more effective and efficient.
And we've helped people figure out how to call customer service or 311 as well. So really helping people become part of that feedback process as well.
Absolutely.
Very cool.
That's great. Okay, next question. It says, volunteerism is based upon problems and solutions. What solution does the program provide for the community?
Oh, I mean, I think we provide a lot of help, because when we think about public transportation, right? Public transportation is a vehicle. It is a vehicle of lots of vehicles, right? But it's also a vehicle to help people improve their lives. And so if you are more comfortable as a transit rider, if you know how to use the tools to figure out where you're going, if you know how to report things as you need to report things, but also just like, get to know the bus a little bit better, that can help you get a job, that can help you get, to your medical service, that can help you get to your friend who lives on the other side of town that you haven't seen in a long time. And it also helps people kind of reduce their car dependency. So if they're worried about gas money right now, or they're worried about, the cost to their, of maintaining a vehicle, now they have another way they can get around without having to use their gas so much.
Absolutely. It makes a big difference in today's economy.
Absolutely. It makes a big difference. And, it's also important for climate as well. And so I think, it's a, you know, it serves people, but to be able to use the bus. And so if anything that we can do to help the drivers, anything that we can do to help the passengers, to make the system run a little smoother, is just a great, wonderful thing. So that's why I'm really excited about this program. It's really soul work for me.
Totally.
Yeah.
I'll add one thing to Althea's point. One thing with the ABQ Ride is we have amazing public resources for everyone to enjoy in Albuquerque, and sometimes we just need a way to get that word out. We do traditional marketing, we have advertising, but sometimes people aren't getting the message, and these are important programs and things that people should know about. So the ambassadors are also a great way for us to just educate the public and connect with audiences that might not be consuming formal media channels that we're investing in. So it's a great service to the transit system, because we have so many programs. I mean, there's Guaranteed Ride Home, there's ABQ Ride Connect, there's, you know, Sunvan. There are just so many different things going on that we really want people to know about.
Yeah, I helped someone apply for the Sunvan the other day, because they were having a lot of mobility challenges, and they were talking about how hard how they're really, on good days they can get to the bus stop, and on hard days they can't. And I said, you know, I got to tell them about paratransit.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and it was just really wonderful to be able to help put more tools in their toolkit.
And that might have changed a life, because paratransit helps people who can't ride traditional buses get around where they need to go to all sorts of appointments and such. So really important service.
And and so it's just really kind of great, because, you know, we get to lead with respect and compassion for the riders. We get to say, you know, hey, you belong on the bus, and we're going to help you get to wherever you need to go. And we have more time to kind of sit with folks that a bus driver wouldn't be able to do, obviously, right? Because they're driving. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. How does the ABQ Ride Ambassador Program tie into ABQ's Ride mission?
I think, you know, just that like friendliness and the safety, right? Because, you know, people think of safety, they think of security officers, right? They think of, like, you know, bright flashing lights, right? We wear pretty bright shirts, so you can find us pretty easily. But, you know, by providing that kind of extra person there in Albuquerque Ride, you know, ABQ Ride branded materials and clothing, by being able to kind of be that friendly person that also is monitoring safety, that also is monitoring like what's going on the bus, you know, helps make sure that we can have a good customer service experience as well for the people who are riding with us.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm with Althea on that. And I'll add one thing is our formal mission statement is to provide the community with clean, safe, and reliable transportation. And what's really exciting about this program is I do think, and you know, just to acknowledge what Althea said, it leads into all three of those elements. The cleanliness, that can come to be with ambassadors reporting different cleanliness issues they might see in the system on our CSA app. The reliability, the ambassadors are out there helping people know which bus to get on. They're improving efficiencies in the bus so the driver, like you said, doesn't have to worry about that. And then also for safety, just promoting safety every step of the way. We rolled out so many safety initiatives last year, including our transit safety officer force. We have ACS supporters. We have the CSA app. We have patrol people on different platforms, especially in the central corridor. And we have PSAs now riding buses. So just also educating on that and sharing that we have all these multi-layered efforts going into our transit safety practices, and educating on how to report if you run into a safety issue. I mean, y'all are critical in all three of our mission elements.
And all these things encompass our DRIVE initiative, you know, and I think that that's super. We're definitely making steps towards making our mass transportation something that we can have safe, dependable, clean.
Absolutely.
Reliable. So
yeah,
that's my dream.
I wanted to ask you, how do we sign up? How does an everyday person sign up for this program?
If you're watching this and you're interested, you can go to cabq.gov/ambassador, or you can also call Dwayne at 505-228-6106. If you're interested in the program, we would love to hear from you, even if you have questions about it. It doesn't matter, as long as you're over the age of 18, you know, you can have a disability. We have ambassadors who use mobility aids. We have ambassadors of different ages. And so as long as you're comfortable riding the bus and over the age of 18, we'd love to have you with us.
Super.
Yeah.
Super. Well, we're going to wrap this up. I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank both of you, Ms. Atherton, Ms. Crack. This has been some great, useful information for the general public and even for tourists.
Yes.
Very cool.
And visiting
Thank
Albuquerque.
you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Dean. We
All right.
appreciate you.